Okay, awesome. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go. Hello, everyone. I am your host, Mariah Darche, and this is Becoming Self-Made, where we highlight women in their respective industries to share how they built the life of their dreams. Today, we have a very special woman who overcame a personal tragedy. And literally, you guys, she established herself as a successful businesswoman. And I myself is just so happy to be chatting with another woman in business, yet alone a strong Black woman. I feel like we need to continue to be a representation of entrepreneurs. So, with that being said, thank you so much, Briana Brown, for joining me today.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited to chat with you. Yes.
Yes, yes. Okay, so you guys, random. I came across Brianna's Instagram just explore page. If you guys follow Bosses Who Brunch, you guys know that we are always so excited for finding like new women in business, reposting their work, really just highlighting women who are doing amazing things. And I myself, amongst like our social media manager, was just scrolling. I was like, who is this chick? I was like, I gotta talk to her. Went on her reels, listened to a lot of the videos, and I personally was just so inspired. And so, what I want to do is just start off with like a moment of reflection. You have came such a long way, and you have built this platform from the ground up, from a tragedy turned a successful business. So, I just want to like reflect a little bit. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. So, literally, March 21st was 5 years since the death of my husband. So, real recent.
Real,
Yes.
recent,
So,
real
that
recent.
time, I feel like I always reflect around, that time every year to see how far I came. And I really like to look back at my old posts from then or my old like journals just to see, because sometimes we don't realize how far we came until you like look back. You're like, wow, I was really in that space, or I was really doing that. So I always like use this time of the year to really reflect of all the things I accomplished, because sometimes you're so in go mode that you
Yeah.
don't even realize all the dope things that you've done and overcame. And so this time of the year is really that time for reflection, to really like sit down with myself, because as a mom, as an entrepreneur, you don't really have that like quiet
Goes so
time.
fast. It goes so fast. Wow.
It does.
I love that. And, I'm so sorry for your loss. I can only imagine. I'm married and
Thank
I
you.
that second source of income is so important. However, in that moment of reflection, I really do like admire the fact that like you took that moment and you built strength upon it, and you built strength and you were able to like turn it into something that brought you gratitude, turned it into something that
Yeah.
you were really able to like build upon for the best ways, yet alone impact and inspire other women. So in that transition, what was that pick me up, that you had to have the sense of like self accountability that you had to place upon yourself to like continue to pivot and continue to move on? I know it's hard. To me, it would seem
Yeah.
impossible, but what was that transition moment look like for you in that moment?
Yeah, I feel like at that time I was working in a barbershop, renting a booth, doing hair full time. My husband, he was working at a company, so he held our insurance
Mm.
and everything. So when he passed away, a couple things happened for me. So it really put me in that go mode, because number one, that was my way to cope, to keep
Right.
myself busy. You know what I mean? I'm
Right,
just like,
right,
if I
right.
stay busy, I don't have to really deal with my reality. But
Yeah.
also, I'm like, oh crap, like this whole source of income is gone. I don't have insurance. I'm just kind of doing hair. And if I don't work, I don't get paid. So
Right.
that made me really kind of transition from like a solo entrepreneur to like a business owner, because at that time I ended up leaving the barbershop. I got a salon suite and I hired two other employees. So at this point in time, if I didn't work, I was still getting commission, or I was still getting booth rent,
Right.
as a hairstylist. So that kind of got me to kind of change my mind how I viewed it, because I was just, doing hair and making really good money, but I wasn't really setting myself up for that long term success. And
Right.
so from there, I was in the suites for about a year. And then I ended up getting my storefront salon. And ironically, I moved into my salon at the same time as COVID. So literally April of 2020, I opened up a
Oh.
1,600 square foot storefront salon, and then we got shut down.
Wow. You know, it really,
Right.
I want to touch on that, but I also want to go back because you said that you kind of used that moment of what happened with your husband and you returned to the office a few days later, a few weeks later, because it was kind of your way
Hmm.
of like a distraction. Isn't that
Yeah.
crazy? Like, I feel like us women can be so strong to the point where we bury everything just to keep it
Hmm.
pushing. I just wanted to point that out that like
Yeah.
you're very strong for that. I that's amazing. That's amazing.
Thank you. And I think, and sometimes even now, sitting back 5 years later, I sometimes even wonder, like, have I really dealt with the grief?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
don't know, because I don't know what that looks like. There's no, one size fits all way to deal with grief. And so I'm just like, did I really deal with it or did I avoid it? Did I just, shove it down and got to be strong? You know what I mean? I really don't have the answer for that. But, I went to therapy. I talked to a therapist and she
Yeah.
was like, no, I think you're in a good place. Like, I think you're fine. So I'm like, okay,
Do
I
you
guess.
Yeah. Do you think that like it may have been like a sense of like what society says we have to do? You know, like
Yeah,
sometimes the pressure of being a mom, being a wife, because you are still a wife, you know? So
yeah.
being a mom, being a wife, society says, well, you have to get yourself together and keep it pushing. Did you feel that a little bit of like that pressure of your
So
surroundings of just needing to keep it pushing?
honestly, I didn't. I felt the opposite. I felt like people were like waiting and like watching for me to like break down. Like it
Yeah.
was kind of awkward. Like I think people, because I have a really strong community, I'm in a sorority, I have a big family. He was in a fraternity. So I had a lot of support. So I felt like with me just like keeping going, people were just like watching, like, is she gonna break down? Like, is
Right.
she gonna break down? Like
Yeah.
just waiting for it
She
to
gonna
happen.
cry
And it
when she
never
gonna shed
did.
that tear.
Right. Like I think they were just like waiting for me to finally have this like big moment, but I'm just like that's just not the person who I am in general. Like I'll cry, I'll be sad, but I also realize, life happens and we just have to kind of figure out our new path and kind of how to pivot. You know what I mean? And I think that pivot mindset, going back to when I opened my salon in COVID, I think this pivot mindset that I just always has helped me kind of excel in business because I'm always like, all right, we got to just figure it out. We got to figure it out, whatever it is, whether it's personal or business.
Right. Like one of those things where you have to continue to have that optimistic mindset, you know? But then again,
Yep.
think about it. You did utilize the resources that you did have. As you said, like you went to therapy,
Mm-hmm.
what you felt like you needed to do for yourself to continue to move on,
Mm-hmm.
which is amazing. And it's really good that you
Right.
about yourself. So, okay, so fast forward to COVID, you opened up this beautiful 16, well, you said 16,000 or 1,600?
1600. 1600.
1,600 square foot salon. You were like, oh, we're up and we're stuck. And then COVID came and it like wiped it out, girl. What happened? What was that pivot like? Because COVID, as all of us know, swiped out or wiped out, excuse me,
Yeah.
a lot of businesses. And some people were able to pivot from that, and some people are still healing from that. So how did you
Yeah.
personally move forward from that situation?
Yeah, so for me, we literally got shut down weeks after opening. Um, Honestly, it wasn't the worst thing for a couple reasons. So when I moved in, I negotiated either 2 or 3 months free rent. So at least during that time while we were shut down, I didn't have to pay anyone. My plan was to stack my money up during that time, but hey, I'd
Yes.
rather get $0 than negative, you know what I mean? However much rent I would have had to pay during that time. So number one, it worked out for me in that sense. Number two, what I did was I started selling like all of our hair products. I was just like, I'm like, bring them all to the house and I'm going to ship them out. People still got to wash their hair and still have to do things at home. So I did that. At the salon, I was hosting an in person braid class at that time. And so I'm like, look, we're going to make this braid class virtual. I ain't never taught nobody how to braid over
So we
Zoom, but
gonna do
look,
it today.
exactly.
Yes.
And then also I'm in Arizona, so we opened up pretty quicker than a lot of other states. I think we were closed for about 6 weeks, which is a short period of time considering a lot of other places and throughout the country. So then we were able to kind of get back in the salon with COVID protocols in place and people were ready to come
Yeah.
outside and get their hair done. So I am definitely grateful for that because, maybe people were like, scared of coming outside, scared to doing things that weren't considered a necessity. But
Yeah.
fortunately for, myself and my stylist, that, our clients came back and they felt safe. We had, mask policies, we were checking temperatures and things like that, and, overly disinfecting. So
Right.
our clients did feel comfortable coming, which was like, a lifesaver, literally and figuratively.
I think that like one thing that I've gained from this conversation so far, and I think that was another reason why I was so interested in your story and talking to you and having this conversation, is pivoting. And I think that like that was such an important term in COVID, but I think people fail to
Mm-hmm.
realize that it's still very much important now and in the
Yeah.
future. And during those moments that you felt like, well, what's next? You may have questioned it internally, but the fact that
Mm-hmm.
you like we're still able to build nothing from something and then something and then to nothing
Yep.
and nothing and something, that consistency, that self accountability, what what is it that you feel made you continue to go? I think that like you I in it dealing with grief, I feel like that can break you all the way down, but then turning around and
Mm-hmm.
dealing with the pandemic, what was that something that you had to do to like keep yourself up and moving? What was that routine? Were you doing anything spiritual?
Yeah.
What did that look like for you?
So for me, honestly, I feel like I didn't have a choice
Yeah.
because, losing and being down is not an option for me. Like it's just not an option. I have a daughter, she's 10 now. And so she lost one parent.
Yeah.
So I have to step up double time. And so that's my why. That's what keeps me, showing up every day when I don't want to. Sometimes I'm tired, I don't want to go,
I
but you
wanna
got to
go.
go. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so a lot of times we kind of get in our own heads. We have to kind of sit back and be like, hey, what was our reason for even starting? And so we have to remember that reason. And that's going to be your reason for getting up when you don't want to, showing up when you're tired, or, figuring out a way out of no way, like you said. And so I think it was my daughter who is depending on me to provide for her. And if I don't provide for her, ain't nobody gonna provide for her. You know what
And
I
no
mean?
one's gonna
So
provide for her like her mama can provide for her.
yeah, exactly. So I feel like that was my reason for getting up and showing up and having to ultimately figure it out.
Yeah, I love that. You are such a strong woman. And as I said, like, I personally am so inspired by your story. I just love the fact that you just keep going. I think that that's the momentum that as an entrepreneur
Hmm.
you need. You're going to be faced with so
Yeah,
so many things that can break you all the way back down, but remembering your why,
absolutely.
remembering like what is motivating me to continue to take that step forward. And so I love that for you, girl. We love it here, y'all. We definitely love it here.
Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you.
So I kind of want to shift a little bit, really focus more on what you do now. You are an
Okay.
entrepreneur. You are a mompreneur. Yeah, I love that word. Once again, I'm a mom of two,
Yes.
and I just know like how challenging, or even if it's not challenging, the balance between
Hmm.
owning your business, running the business, and being a mom. But you are a mompreneur and you do it all. So I want to share with the guests, and I want you to share just all of the streams of income that you have managed to build over the years, because I think it's amazing.
Yes. So I still do hair in the salon a couple days a week. So that's stream number one. I also do business and credit coaching. So I help people repair their personal credit and build their business credit. I have a fleet of cars on Turo, which is a peer-to-peer rental car sharing platform. I recently got a vending machine in the salon. And also I do social media management. So that's like the fun part. Like I love creating
Yeah.
content and making stuff in Canva, and so I kind of do that piece for different business owners as well.
Yeah, so I personally want to know because, as I said, I feel like as a mom and all the other interpersonal like things that we have to balance in life, how do
Hmm.
you balance it? I always love asking that question because to me, it's like, oh my gosh, you have your rental car business, you do social media, you're a business and credit coach, you're still in the salon, like,
Hmm.
and then it's just you and it's your daughter. And I know you
Yeah.
have a team, but girl, I'm trying to wrap my mind on how you juggle it all.
Pre-planning and my calendar. So literally, if it is not on the calendar, it does not exist in my like world. And I check my calendar multiple times a day. I also have a virtual assistant who every morning she'll like send me like, hey, this is on your calendar for the day. So I'm like, okay, cool, I know, but I still check. And so the night before, I always check, all right, what do I have to do tomorrow? Do I have any cars coming in? Do I have any cars coming out? Do I have any clients at the salon? So I always kind of know where I'm supposed to be, when I'm supposed to be, and kind of what's going on. But also, like, I make it look easy, but it's not always easy. Like, if you guys follow my stories, I'd be going through it sometimes with this Toro cars. Like last week, I like lost the key. I had to cancel a trip. I
Oh
found
my
the key.
goodness.
Like,
Oh my
yeah, so it's
goodness.
not always glitz
Right.
and glitter and glam at all. Like, as much
But
as
I
we
feel
would
like,
like, go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like that's like also the beauty of it too. You know, I feel like sometimes
Absolutely.
social media can be very oversaturated, as we may know. And so I love the fact that you are super like authentic, you know, and letting us know, like, "Oh, like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm juggling all these things, but please let me know. And let me let you guys know it is
Right. Yes, I think it's good to be, transparent because, a lot of times people are like, makes entrepreneurship just look, so pretty all the time. And that's not true. Nothing in life is going to be pretty all the time. And I think it's my responsibility to, be very transparent with my audience about those struggles so they can, make a well-informed decision if like, hey, if this is right for me or not, because entrepreneurship is not for everybody
yeah.
at all. Somebody has to, work for somebody. We can't all have our own businesses and no employees. Like the world
Yes.
wouldn't work in that sense.
Yes. Absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. So, with like the Bosses Who Branch community, we always love to like, you know, find out the tools that are super effective with ones who are balancing such busy schedules. So, with that every day, waking up, scheduling it down, if it's not on the schedule, it didn't happen. What are some of the tools that you use? Do you use your journal? Do you use functioning, you know, apps or softwares? What do you personally use that have been so effective for your everyday lifestyle?
Yeah, so automations is key for everything. So number one, I typically like plan my social media content in advance and I use scheduling apps. I start using Instagram to schedule it. So right now on this call, a post can be posted and I don't have to think about it. I love using AI also. So Chat GPT and Jasper, I use
Yes.
that to assist me with copywriting because writing is not my strongest point at all. I applaud people who
Yeah,
can, are great writers. That's not my strength. So I use AI to help me with captions,
love AI.
emails,
Yes.
blogs. Girl, it is. I'm
Wow.
here for it. Like,
Wow, so it's
I
funny
love
because
that.
I feel like AI has like recently like surfaced, like use AI for everything. We actually use it for our becoming self-made. So what we do is we record these videos virtually, and then after it's recorded, we
Hmm.
upload it, and like our AI system just chops up all the like
Yep.
important moments that, and we use it for Instagram and we post it. So for you, like the fact that you're, you know, resurfacing this whole AI and saying that this is a
Hmm.
that you use, ones who are watching definitely like figure out the ones that are best for you. And maybe Brianna, you
Yeah.
will share some that are beneficial.
Yeah, so look, I got a list of them because
Oh,
it's
see,
so
look.
many. Look, that's perfect. Look, let me bring this up. Okay,
Yes.
so I got it in categories. All right, so for
Yes,
written
please.
things, you use Chat GPT. Canva actually has a AI feature now under Docs. They're magic, right?
Yes.
Which is free also. And then I use Jasper. So for video, you can use Munch. You can use Video, Vidyo is one, and Chopcast is another one. And then for photos, you can use Midjourney. So those are the ones that I use, you guys. So check them all out, play
Yes.
with them. Some
Yes.
are free, some may cost you, but I think, it's only going to evolve more and be more efficient and be more effective. So it is always best to be, in the beginning of something. You don't
Yeah.
want to be playing catch up you
Yeah, because
know?
at that time it's done changed. Things aren't free anymore. You done missed the trials.
Yeah, exactly. Like we
Yes,
all wish we got Bitcoin how many ever years ago when it was pennies on the dollar. You know what I
girl.
mean?
Girl, yes, yes. I love that. I love that. So we're definitely going to be like sharing that information because AI, it just makes things easier. One thing that I kind of want to like piggyback on is when you said that, recognizing your strengths, and being able to like pass certain things over to certain people or being able to utilize
Mhm.
systems like AI to really take some things off your shoulder. I feel like sometimes as a mom, when we feel at times obligated to balance all of these things, sometimes it's hard for us to say, you know what? I know I can do it and I feel like I can do it the best way, but it's time for me to like pass it
Yeah.
over. What did that switch like for you when you realized like, okay, you know what? I am a superwoman, but superwomen need help too.
No, absolutely. I think once I really started like creating these other streams of income, and I'm just like, there are aspects of my business that I don't need to do. Yes, I can do them. Yes, I may want to do them, but they can be done without me. And one thing, one of my good friends, she always says, like, you can't be the front of your business and the back of your business. Like, you can't do it all. And it's sometimes like, I think delegation in general is something we all kind of have to learn. And it could be, especially as an entrepreneur, where you built something, you know what I mean? It's like your baby, and for you to like entrust somebody else with it, it's hard, but you
Right.
have to really realize, someone else can do this. But with that, you have to put systems in place to make that person successful. You
Yeah.
can't say, hey, just go do this and then get upset if they do it wrong. Hey, did you train them properly? Did you give them the tools so they can, do it to, your standards? So that's one thing. When I hired my virtual assistant, I didn't really have all of my systems in place. It was kind of like I was creating them as I was training her. So at the beginning, me and her kind of had, it was just not flowing as well. But now it flows a lot easier because I had to step back and be like, okay, hey, let me really create these systems so she knows exactly what she needs to be doing, how she needs to be doing, and when she needs to be doing. And when you have those in place, it makes it a lot easier to hire someone to start taking over certain tasks.
Right. And I love that too, because I feel like sometimes we get so overwhelmed with the amount of work that we have. And even being able to create those systems and set those systems in place for yourself, that right there is going to alleviate lots of headache too. Yeah, like
Absolutely.
passing it
A
over.
hundred
So I
percent.
love that you mentioned the system. So I know I keep saying transition, but sometimes whenever I have conversations like this, it always
Yes.
other things. And I just think it's so important. Um, but when I think of several streams of income, or when I think of virtual assistants, when I think of AIs, and I'm thinking of all of these different things that you utilize to make all of your business run successfully, I also think of like money, right? I think of investing. I think of one thing we're
Hmm.
going to slowly transition into, I think of business credit, funding, because one may say, I have all these ideas, I have this successful business running, but in order for me to build a team, I want to be able to pay my team. But in order for me to pay my team,
Right.
I need money to pay them. So I really want to talk about business credit, and I want to talk about how impactful it could be, how we grow it, how we build upon it, and how useful and beneficial it is for our business.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people, especially with our community, are scared of credit. So I think that's my like number one like thing I have to get people to like retrain their brain on how they view credit. Because we've always taught, credit is bad. If you can't afford it, then you don't get it. You know what I mean? But multi-million billion dollar companies leverage credit. So if
Yeah.
you want to be a multi-million billion dollar company, you need to do what they're doing. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
if this is the blueprint, I'm gonna follow the blueprint. Like, who else can tell you how to be a millionaire but a millionaire?
Yes.
Like, and
Yes.
so I try to follow what people are doing in positions that I want to be in. And so business credit is that. And so I always tell people, if you wait to get business credit when you need it, it's too late. It's too late. You need to have it there and available to you. To date, I have over $300,000 in available credit for my business.
Right.
I really don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but I have it. So if an investment opportunity comes up, or maybe I just wake up with this business idea, I have the capital and the funds available. I don't have to tap into my personal funds because you don't ever want to be cash broke, you know? And a lot of times we exhaust our personal funds, our business funds, and now our bank account is to zero. But you can leverage other people's money and use that to make you more money. And
Right.
that's one thing I did with the Toro cars. I got those cars on credit. I could have went out and bought them cash, but for what? I'm just going to use your money to make me more money,
Right.
pay the vehicle off. Now it's all passive, you
Yes.
know? And
Yes.
so that's the goal, is to use other people's money to buy income producing assets. And there's, you know, different ways that you can build business credit. But I always start with telling business owners, get your structure together first. A lot of people want to jump into getting all this capital, but you're not going to get capital if your business is not structured properly.
Right.
So you
Now,
know, you can't go ahead.
I want to break that down a little bit more because some people may think of like, is my structure, are you considering that as the business plan, or are we talking structure with the funding? What
Yeah.
the structure of the business are you referring to?
So number one, you cannot be a well, I can't even slip my mind.
Sole
Sole proprietor.
yes.
Yeah. I kept wanting to say solopreneur, a
Yes.
sole proprietor. You cannot build business credit as a sole proprietor. You need to have an LLC, a corporation, even a nonprofit.
Yeah.
So that's number one. You need an EIN number. Those are free through the IRS. Then we get into like the meat and potatoes of the business. You need an actual business address, business phone number, a website. You want your business to be, you know, found online. Are you on Google Business? Are you on Bing? Is your business on Yelp? So this is a business structure I'm talking about, because if you were to go to a lender, a venture capitalist, and ask for funding, and they can't even find a website, they Google you and your business doesn't come up, you're now considered high risk and will be denied for funding. So that's why having that business structure right in place first is number one. And a
Yeah.
lot of people miss that. They're like, oh, I have an LLC and an EIN. That's great. But you need these other things
Yeah.
first.
I love that. And I think that it's funny because, well, one, let me mention, because you said that you're in Arizona, and we actually just wrapped up our Bosses Who Branch Arizona in March. And
Yes,
one of the, it was so, I wish I would have met you earlier. I would have like,
I
hey,
know.
come on, girl. But it's funny that you said, you mentioned like things as websites, as addresses, as
Mm-hmm.
that's the most simplest things that one needs. But there are so many people who are operating online who feel like, well, I don't really
Mm-hmm.
need this. You know, I have an LLC, but I don't really need an EIN number, or I have an EIN number, but I don't have an LLC. Or, excuse me, they're taking orders like via DM. So I love that you
Mm-hmm.
break down that structure, because that's what people need. We need websites, and
Yeah,
that's essential to your business.
absolutely. No, I 100% agree with that. And then one thing I forgot, but I want to say, is a business bank account. Get a business bank account. There's so many reasons to have that, but if you're going out for funding, they may want to see, you know, 3 months of bank statements, or they want you to, you know, log in and give them access to your business bank account. So if you don't have that, you can be doing yourself a disservice. And then we need to just, you guys, keep business funds and personal funds completely separate.
Yes, I love that. So you mentioned utilizing others' money to basically pay off the debt via credit, right? So what
Yes.
are some other effective ways to build business credit?
Yeah, so I think the best way I try to help people build business credit is by not having to use their personal credit at all. Let's not touch our personal credit until we absolutely have to.
Mm.
So there's 3 steps to building business credit. Step one is tier one, which are vendor accounts. So you can sign up for these vendor accounts. So a couple that I use is Granger, Business T-shirt Club, Uline, Quill. So those are some vendor accounts, and those kind of get your foot in the door with building your business credit. So you'll make a purchase from these companies, then they'll invoice you, and then you'll just pay that invoice back. So you want to do that for a few months, and that's going to start you with actually getting, you know, a business credit score.
Like I'm
So
gonna take
that's
care
number
of
one.
myself.
Yes. Yes, so that's number one. Then after you do that and you get your business credit scores, then you can move on to tier two. And these are retail store accounts. So these would be Home Depot, Lowe's, Floor and Decor, Amazon is even one. And we all use Amazon. So those
Yeah.
are a couple retail accounts that you can now get. So then same process, do that for a few months. Then once you do that, you can move on to tier three. And this is like the fun part because this is called like cash credit. So these are, credit cards that you can use anywhere. You don't have to just, use them at that specific store. Now you can start leveraging, higher limits and doing different things with them. And you can also start, there's ways to take money off these credit cards and liquidating them without actually, having to pay all of these fees and things like that. So that's when you can really start having fun with your credit and make different, power plays with that money to elevate your business or even to start a new business. You
Right.
can literally build business credit on every LLC you have and just say, I build business credit on business A. I can use that money to start business B. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what I did with Toro and my vending machine. So, you have plenty of options that you can do, but number one is we got to go out, y'all, and get the capital, get the funding. We don't need to just go out and use it all, but just have it available in your back pocket for when you need it.
I love that. I love that. And it's funny because you said with each tier is about a couple months long. So let's just say three,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's 3, 6, 9, right? So that means that you have what? An additional couple months until the end of the year, which then means
Yep.
that by next year or that following,
Yep.
you guys will be set up. I love that. And I love that you broke it down.
Yes.
So I kind of want to continue to talk about this credit. We have about 6 minutes left, but I think we're good. I think we're good.
Yes.
So why do you think people shy away from this credit? In the beginning, you mentioned, people think that credit is bad. Why do you think that there's still a lack of information that's getting circulated about building good business credit or that good credit is actually good?
Yeah. I think really it comes down to people's like experiences from money from when they were a child. I think we have a lot of money trauma, and I think that's a type of trauma that doesn't get really talked about a lot. We talk about all these different type of traumas, but we have trauma when it comes to money. And a lot of times because people grew up, in poverty or below, middle class or even at middle class. So when it comes to credit, people didn't know, how your credit score is determined. So if you don't understand the rules, how can you effectively play the game?
Right.
So if you don't understand that, hey, they gave you $1,000 credit limit, but you're only supposed to use 30%, which is $300, no one tells you that when they give you the credit card. But
Right.
30% of your overall credit score is your credit utilization. But if
Right.
you don't know that, then you're just like, oh, they gave me $1,000. I'm gonna use $1,000 and I'm paying it back on time, so that should be good. But in reality, that's bad. And
Yeah.
so I think the lack of education around credit is why people have this like fear of it. And so that's one thing I love to do is educate people on how your credit score is even determined. Because if you know these specific data points, then you know how to kind of manipulate that score. And then you're not so fearful of it because it's not this foreign thing that you're like, what is it? I'm confused. But once you understand something, you can really use it to your benefit.
I love that. And you know what? One also may ask that with the education around it and say that they now feel informed and they're ready to go, but they've only been in business
Mhm.
for a couple months. Does the time in business impact these different, credit unions wanting to give you funding? Are they looking for a certain duration of this business actively, being up and running to, basically say, yes, I'm going to be able to give you this allotted amount of money, or no, you need to be in business for about 6 months or whatever?
So it really varies from institution to institution, but I would say if you're in business at least three months and are generating income, then you can go out and get a line of credit. You can go out and get a credit card. You can get, capital and access to funds. You don't have to necessarily be in business for a year, 5 years to get that capital because a lot of different, especially credit unions, they're always looking out for small businesses. And
Right.
so they understand a lot of, small businesses and startups, they're new. They don't have a lot of time under their belt. They don't have a lot of income because they're just starting out. And so that's one thing why I love credit unions. But also another company and bank that I'm just like loving more and more every day is Chase. Chase has a really great business program for small businesses, and they're really doing a lot of initiatives for minority owned businesses.
I love
Whether
that.
you bank with Chase or whether you bank with Chase or not, they have a lot of resources, even on their website, their chase.com, I think it's like backslash business or something like that. They have like tons of resources, tons of articles just to kind of help you go along your business journey, and it's free. But to go back to your question, because I definitely
No, but
tangented,
I love that
you
because
don't.
I was going to say, like, what banks will offer this, but you said Chase. So
Yeah,
that's awesome. Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. No problem.
Yes. Okay. So, Briana, you have been amazing. I'm like, as I said, you guys, I've been taking notes for myself because I feel like this is a part of business that is essential. Just understanding
Hmm.
business credit and knowing that, you pivoted from a very tragic moment in your life and you were able to build upon that and really be able to like reflect on it and turn this into something that has,
Yeah.
as I mentioned, brought you gratitude, has brought you peace. And moments, there are still moments that, you may reach out to those resources to kind of get you back
Hmm.
on track. But I just love the fact that you are standing strong, you're standing tall, and you're still going. And you're not only doing this for yourself, but you're doing this for other entrepreneurs in business. So, with that said,
Thank you.
Briana, you are amazing. For the ones who aren't already following you, how can we find you? How can we continue to support you?
Yes, follow me on Instagram, Bri Bucks. So BriBucks. Please follow me. Please, like, comment, and share my content. My goal is for everybody to win. It is so much money out here in the world. There's no reason why we need to be fighting over scraps, you guys.
Yes.
So that is
Yes.
my overall goal, to see you win, and you win.
I love that. And there's never too many people to have that philanthropy. As you said, like
Yep.
there's so much money to go around. So the fact that like we're putting that gatekeeping stuff aside, you guys, there's so much
Yep.
money to go around. There's so many resources. There's no reason why we can't keep going. So Brianna,
Yes.
thank you again. I appreciate this conversation with you. And without further ado, thank you ones who will be watching this video. This is Becoming Self-Made, where we highlight women in business who establish the life of their dreams. See you next time.
Bye.